I stared at my laptop screen in my Singapore hotel room, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. 2 in the morning. The email subject line read, "We had to do this." My mother wrote that they sold my Malibu villa without permission. $300,000 to cover my sister Paige's gambling debts. Her exact words burned into my brain. "You didn't need it anyway, right? You're never there." Paige needed help now. I sat in complete silence for maybe 10 seconds, then opened my phone and dialed the police. I never replied to them at all. My fingers were still trembling when I called Marcus Thompson, my lawyer, at 3 in the morning California time. He answered on the 4th ring, voice thick with sleep. "Hector? What's wrong?" "My parents sold my villa, without my permission. While I'm in Singapore closing the Porter deal, I heard rustling, then the click of a lamp." Marcus was suddenly alert. "Say that again slowly." I repeated everything from the email, reading parts of it aloud. My voice cracked when I got to the part where my mother casually mentioned the $300,000 going straight to casinos and loan sharks. Like it was nothing. Like my property, my investment, my future was just some piggy bank they could smash whenever Paige screwed up again. "I'm pulling up county records right now," Marcus said. I heard typing in the background. "Give me 2 minutes." Those 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. I paced my hotel room, looking out at the Singapore skyline glittering in the pre-dawn darkness. 48 hours ago, I'd been celebrating with James Porter, my business partner, over the biggest deal of our careers, $5 million for our software company. Now everything felt contaminated. "Hector," Marcus's voice had changed. Heavier. "I've got the documents. Deed transfer filed 3 days ago. Your parents used a power of attorney from 5 years back." My stomach dropped. "The accident?" "Yeah. When you were recovering from that car wreck and couldn't handle your affairs. Those documents were supposed to be destroyed after you got better. They kept them." I collapsed onto the hotel bed. 5 years ago, a drunk driver hit me head-on while I was driving home from work. Broken ribs, punctured lung, months of recovery. My parents had been angels then, handling everything while I focused on healing. I'd trusted them completely. "They forged recent signatures too," Marcus continued, "on additional transfer papers. Made it look like you'd authorized this sale within the last month. That's fraud. That's identity theft." "Yes, but proving it will be complicated." I rubbed my face with my free hand. "The villa. God, the villa. I bought it 7 years ago with my first major bonus when I made senior director at the tech firm. I was 34 now, and that house represented everything I'd worked for. My sanctuary, my retirement plan, my proof that the poor kid from Pasadena had made something of himself. Worth approximately $1.2 million. In Malibu, with ocean views. And they sold it for what? "How much did the buyer pay?" I asked, though I dreaded the answer. $400,000. I actually laughed. It was either laugh or scream. $400,000 for a $1.2 million property. Who's the buyer? Someone named Derek Shaw. Sale rushed through in 72 hours. Money's already gone, transferred to various casinos and loan sharks per your mother's email. Your parents justified it by saying family helps family. Family helps family. The phrase my parents had drilled into me since childhood. Share with your sister. Be generous to Paige. She's younger, she needs more help. Never mind that Paige was 31 years old now and had been gambling away every dollar she touched for the past decade. Derek Shaw, I repeated. The name meant nothing to me. I'm running a background check now. Meanwhile, you've got bigger problems. You're in Singapore for how much longer? The Porter deal closes tomorrow, or it's supposed to. But James is already annoyed that I've been distracted today. You need to decide. Come home and deal with this, or stay and close the deal. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I pulled it away from my ear to read it. Your sister says hello. She also says you should drop the police report if you want your parents to stay safe. We don't like people who don't pay their debts. My blood turned to ice water. Marcus, I just got a text. I read it aloud. Loan sharks, he said immediately. Hector, this is worse than I thought. Your sister didn't just owe casinos. She borrowed from criminals. How much did she really owe? If they're threatening your parents? The $400,000 wasn't enough. I'd estimate her total debts are closer to $600,000. The villa money was just a down payment. I stood up, started pacing again. My reflection in the hotel window looked haggard. When had I last slept? My parents are in danger. Real danger. These people don't make idle threats. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the same number. A photo. My parents' house in Pasadena. Taken from the street. Recently, I could see my father's car in the driveway. They're watching them, I whispered. Hector, listen to me carefully. Call the police in Pasadena right now. Get patrol cars to your parents' house. Then you need to come home. The Singapore deal will have to wait. James will kill me. He's already furious. Your family is being threatened by loan sharks. James will understand, but I knew he wouldn't. James Porter was brilliant and ruthless in equal measure. He'd been my partner for 3 years, and I'd watched him cut ties with people over much smaller offenses than abandoning a $5 million deal at the last second. I made the calls anyway. Pasadena police first, then James. James picked up on the first ring. It's 3 a.m. there. This better be good. I have to fly home. Family emergency. Silence. Then, the deal closes in 18 hours, Hector. I know. I'm sorry. My parents are being threatened. Actual physical threats. I have to go. You're joking. I wish I was. More silence. I could practically hear him doing the math. Without both partners present, the Singapore clients would walk. 3 years of work. Gone. If you leave now, James said slowly, we're done. The deal dies, and so does our partnership. James, please. I'm not negotiating. You stay and finish this, or I find a new partner. Your choice. He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, feeling my entire life crumbling in real time. My home stolen, my family in danger, my business partnership ending, my professional reputation about to take a hit I might never recover from. And somewhere in California, my sister Paige was probably sleeping soundly, not caring about any of it. I booked the first flight home. 23 hours of travel time. Every minute felt like torture. The flight back was a nightmare of bad connections and delays. I barely slept, running on coffee and rage. When I finally landed at LAX, I went straight to my parents' house in Pasadena, without even stopping at my apartment. It was early evening when I pulled up to their modest 2-bedroom home where I'd grown up. My father's Toyota was in the driveway next to my mother's Honda, and next to that, a brand new Mercedes SUV that I didn't recognize. I rang the doorbell. My mother opened it, and her face immediately closed off when she saw me. Hector, can I come in? She hesitated, then stepped aside. The living room looked exactly as it always had. Same floral couch my parents bought when I was in high school. Same family photos on the walls. Same coffee table with my father's crossword puzzles spread across it. My father, Gerald, sat in his recliner. He was 67, retired from 30 years as a postal worker, with gray hair and the same stubborn jaw I'd inherited. He didn't stand when I entered. We knew you'd overreact, he said by way of greeting. I stood there, jet-lagged and furious and heartbroken, trying to find words. Then Paige walked out of the kitchen. My sister looked nothing like someone drowning in gambling debt. She wore expensive designer jeans and a silk blouse I recognized as costing at least $300. Her purse was the new model from some luxury brand. Her hair was freshly highlighted. She smiled at me. Actually smiled. Hey, big brother. Long time. I stared at her. You threatened Mom and Dad. I have no idea what you're talking about. The loan sharks, the text messages, the photo of their house. Paige's eyes widened in perfect innocence. Mom, Dad, see how selfish he is? He's making up stories now. He has everything and won't help his own sister, so he invents drama. That's not what's happening, I said. My mother moved to stand next to Paige, a protective hand on her shoulder. Hector, we did what was best for the family. You sold my property without permission. That villa just sits empty, Paige chimed in. I was suffering, and you have this huge house you never use. You're there maybe twice a year. 4 times last year, actually. And that's not the point. The point, my father said, standing now, is that you're single with no kids. You don't need that big house. Paige has a daughter. Emma needs stability. Emma, my niece. 7 years old with her mother's dark hair and her father's eyes, whoever her father was. Paige had never been clear on that detail. Where is Emma? I asked. School, Paige said quickly. Where she belongs. Not that you care. You've never cared about your niece. That's a lie. Is it? When's the last time you called her? Visited her? I started to answer, then realized I couldn't remember. Paige had moved around so much, different cities, different phone numbers. I'd sent birthday gifts to 3 different addresses last year, before one finally reached Emma. You make 3 times what normal people make, Paige continued, her voice rising with theatrical emotion. And you begrudge me one little property, one house that you barely use, that could change my daughter's entire life. You didn't use the money for Emma, I said. You paid gambling debts. I had to. They were threatening me, and now they're threatening Mom and Dad. Because of you, she jabbed a finger at me. Because you called the police. Because you reported the sale. They're angry now, and it's your fault for being vindictive. I looked at my parents. My mother's expression was torn, but ultimately sided with Paige. My father just looked disappointed in me. I raised you better than to abandon your sister in her time of need, Gerald said. She's been lying to you, I tried. For months. Years, probably. She's manipulated you into thinking I'm the bad guy here. We know our own children, Linda said quietly. Paige told us you refused to help her. Multiple times. She came to us crying, Hector, desperate. What were we supposed to do? Not commit fraud. It's not fraud when we had legal power of attorney, Gerald said. From 5 years ago. Those documents were supposed to be destroyed, but they weren't, Paige said sweetly. And legally, they're valid. So really, big brother, you don't have a case. You're just throwing a tantrum, because for once in your life, you had to actually help family instead of hoarding your wealth. My phone rang. Marcus. I stepped into the kitchen to answer. Tell me you have good news, I said. Opposite of good news. Derek Shaw is actually Derek Hartman. He's your sister's boyfriend. Has been for 8 months. The kitchen spun slightly. I gripped the counter. What? Gets worse. He's an associate of the loan sharks. The whole sale was a setup. He paid $400,000 for a $1.2 million property. They're essentially stealing $800,000 in equity from you. Oh God, there's more. The deed transfer has a clause. If you contest the sale, Paige can countersue for breach of verbal agreement. She's claiming you promised her the villa years ago. She has text messages and emails to prove it. Those don't exist. I never promised her anything. They exist now. Faked, obviously. But convincing. If you fight this, you could end up owing her money for emotional distress and promissory estoppel. I leaned against the counter, feeling sick. This can't be happening. It gets worse. Your parents genuinely believe her story about the promise. Something about you being drunk at Christmas 4 years ago. I put the phone on speaker so I could splash cold water on my face at the sink. I wasn't even home that Christmas. I was in Vermont on a ski trip. They believe her version. Hector, I'm sorry, but your family has completely sided with Paige. They think you're being cruel. Through the kitchen doorway, I could see my mother hug Paige, could hear Paige crying now, doing her helpless victim routine. My father patted her shoulder comfortingly. "How did I raise such a heartless son?" my mother said, loud enough for me to hear. Paige could have ended up on the street. We had to help her. I walked back into the living room. They all turned to look at me. "Derek Hartman," I said to Paige, "your boyfriend, the buyer. You want to explain that part?" She didn't even flinch. "Derek's been wonderful to me and Emma. He's a real man, not like some people who only care about money. He's a criminal. He's a businessman. And he gave me a fair price for the villa. $400,000 for a $1.2 million property is not fair. It's what he could afford. And family doesn't price gouge family, Hector. We gave him a discount because he's helping us." The audacity was breathtaking. I looked at my parents. "You understand she's scamming you too, right? This isn't about helping family. It's theft. You're the one who abandoned your sister when she needed you most," Gerald said. "Now you're attacking her and her partner. This is shameful behavior." I stood there for another moment, looking at these three people who were supposed to be my family. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My father glared at me with disgust. My sister smiled with cold triumph. "I'm going to fight this," I said quietly. "All of it. The sale, the fraud, everything." "Then you're no longer welcome in this house," Gerald said. I left without another word. 1 week after returning from Singapore, I sat in a cramped studio apartment I'd rented in Glendale. Couldn't afford much else. Legal fees were already mounting, and my savings were depleting fast. Marcus came by with updates. None of them good. "The legal battle will cost minimum $150,000, he said, sitting on the single folding chair I'd managed to buy. "That's if everything goes smoothly, which it won't." "How bad?" "Court date is 6 weeks out." Meanwhile, Derek and Paige moved into the villa yesterday. I'd been trying not to think about that. Strangers living in my home, my sanctuary. They're using my furniture, everything. They're posting all over social media too. Marcus showed me his phone. Instagram photos of Paige in my living room, champagne glass raised. Derek on my deck, sunset behind him. Captions about new beginnings and blessings. "They're throwing parties," Marcus continued. "Neighbors have been texting me. Your neighbors, I should say. They recognize you're the real owner. They're sending photos." He showed me more images. My villa's pool crowded with people I didn't know. My kitchen covered in liquor bottles. My master bedroom visible through windows with clothes scattered everywhere. "Emma's there too," I said, spotting my niece in one photo, sitting alone on the stairs while adults partied around her. "Yeah. She's the innocent victim in all this." My phone buzzed. Email from my company. I read it twice, not believing what I was seeing. "I've been put on personal leave," I told Marcus. "Effective immediately." Did they say why? Bad publicity. Extended absence. The Singapore deal fell through, and James made sure everyone knew it was my fault. My reputation in the industry is destroyed. Marcus winced. "I'm sorry." LinkedIn messages from recruiters dried up too. Former colleagues won't return calls. "I'm toxic." We sat in silence for a moment. Through the thin apartment walls, I could hear my neighbors arguing about something trivial. My entire life had collapsed in less than 2 weeks. "There's more bad news," Marcus said finally. "Of course there is. Paige filed for a restraining order yesterday. Claims you showed up at the villa drunk and threatening. Says Derek witnessed the whole thing. I've never been to the villa since I got back. I've been here, or at your office. I know. But she has Derek backing her story. Police issued a temporary restraining order this morning. You can't come within 500 feet of the villa, Paige, Derek, or your parents." "My parents?" She added them for protection. "Says you're unstable and might take your anger out on them." I laughed bitterly. "So I can't even see my own parents now. Violating the restraining order means immediate arrest." Be very careful, Hector. The restraining order meant something else, too. I couldn't protect my property, couldn't check on the villa, couldn't stop whatever damage they were doing to a house that still legally had my name on tax documents and HOA fees. Speaking of HOA, Marcus said, you're getting fined. Noise complaints, parking violations, aesthetic issues. The fees are piling up in your name. How much? $4,200 so far. I put my head in my hands. This is insane. The forged power of attorney might actually hold up in court, Marcus continued. Legal precedent suggests parents acting in good faith, believing they have authority, could avoid criminal charges. A judge might rule the sale valid. So I lose everything? Civil suit against your parents would mean suing your own mother and father. That's not a good look for a jury. And expensive. We're looking at years of litigation. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but Marcus nodded that I should. Hello? Mr. Crawford? This is Mercy Hospital. Your father, Gerald Crawford, was brought in by ambulance an hour ago. Heart-related emergency. Your mother listed you as emergency contact. The world tilted. Is he okay? He's stable but needs to remain for observation. Your mother is with him now. I hung up and looked at Marcus. My father's in the hospital. Heart attack. You should go. I can't. The restraining order. If Paige is there, your mother's there, not Paige. You have a right to see your father. We drove to Mercy Hospital together. Marcus waited in the car while I went inside. Found my mother in the cardiac ward waiting room, looking 20 years older than she had a week ago. Mom. She looked up, eyes red from crying. Hector, how is he? Angina attack. They're running tests. His diabetes and blood pressure. This stress. She started crying harder. I sat next to her, unsure if she'd accept comfort. She leaned into me, and I put my arm around her shoulders. Your selfishness is killing your father, she whispered after a moment. I pulled away. What? If you'd just helped Paige when she first asked. If you hadn't made this into such a battle. The stress of all this legal fighting. Gerald can't take it. I didn't create this situation. Paige did. You could end it. Drop the lawsuit. Let her have the house. Your father might die, Hector. Is a house worth more than his life? Before I could answer, a nurse appeared. Mrs. Crawford? You can see your husband now. Immediate family only. I stood to follow. The nurse held up a hand. I'm sorry. Your mother only. I'm his son. Sir, we have instructions that only Mrs. Crawford is allowed. Who gave those instructions? The nurse checked her tablet. A Paige Crawford called this morning, said you were dangerous and have a restraining order. I looked at my mother. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom, tell them I'm allowed to see Dad. She stood slowly. I think it's best if you go, Hector, until you calm down and start thinking about family instead of yourself. She walked away with the nurse. I stood there in the waiting room, surrounded by other families having their own crises, and realized I'd lost my parents completely. Security escorted me out. I'd violated the restraining order just by being in the same hospital as my mother. If Paige found out, I could be arrested. Marcus drove me back to my apartment. Neither of us spoke. That night, lying on an air mattress in my empty studio, I received a certified letter. Legal documents from Derek's lawyer. They were suing me for defamation and harassment, claiming my police report and legal actions were malicious prosecution, seeking damages of $500,000. There was a note attached. Drop all legal actions, and we'll drop the suit. Continue fighting, and we'll destroy you financially. I called Marcus at midnight. They're going to win, he said after I read him the documents. With Paige's faked evidence, they could actually win this suit. You'd be bankrupt. What do I do? Long silence. Hector, I hate saying this, but you should consider settling. Take whatever they offer. You'll lose everything if we go to trial. I can't just give up. Then you'll lose everything anyway, just more slowly and expensively. After we hung up, I sat in the dark apartment and thought about giving up, starting over somewhere else. New name, new life, letting Paige win. My phone buzzed with an email from Paige. Settlement offer. I opened it, hands shaking. The terms: drop all legal action. Sign an affidavit admitting I gave verbal permission for the sale. Pay $50,000 to Paige for emotional distress. In exchange, they drop the defamation suit and restraining order. Complete surrender. Plus, I'd have to pay them. I had 3 days to decide. That night, I didn't sleep at all. 2 weeks later, my life had become unrecognizable. The company officially terminated my employment. Severance package withheld pending an investigation into my conduct. My bank account was down to $38,000. Legal fees had already consumed $90,000. I had to borrow $20,000 from my college friend Nathan Wright just to make rent and eat. Nathan's wife wasn't happy about the loan. I could hear it in his voice when we talked. Just until I get back on my feet, I promised. Sure, man. Whatever you need. But his tone said he doubted he'd ever see that money again. My extended family had completely turned against me. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone sided with my parents and Paige. The family group chat removed me. My cousin Jennifer's wedding was coming up. I'd been in the wedding party. Now I wasn't even invited. Paige was asked to be a bridesmaid instead. The villa continued deteriorating. Neighbors sent me photos almost daily now, and each one was worse than the last. Derek's friends using the pool for what looked like drug-fueled parties, trash everywhere. The garden I'd carefully maintained for 7 years was dying. Property value declining with every passing day, but I couldn't do anything about it. The restraining order kept me 500 feet away. Paige escalated her attacks. Filed a new police report claiming I'd left threatening voicemails on her phone. I'd never called her, but she had recordings. Doctored, obviously, but convincing enough that a detective called me in for questioning. Mr. Crawford, we take harassment very seriously, the detective said. Heavy-set guy. Looked like he'd heard every excuse in the book. I never called her. Check my phone records. Calls can be made from other phones. Apps. Burner phones. I didn't make those calls. He didn't look convinced. Stay away from your sister. Next complaint. We'll issue an arrest warrant. Marcus connected me with a bail bondsman, just in case. The bondsman's office was in a strip mall between a check-cashing place and a liquor store. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. This was what my life had become. The private investigator I'd hired with the last of my money finally reported back. His name was Frank Morrison, former cop, now doing surveillance work. He met me at a coffee shop in Burbank. Derek Hartman has a record, Frank said, sliding papers across the table. Fraud, assault, drug dealing. Multiple restraining orders from ex-girlfriends. Currently under investigation by DEA for money laundering. Can we use this? Gets better. The loan sharks he works for are connected to organized crime. Russian mob, actually. They're using your villa for illegal activities. Money drops, drug deals. I've got photos. He showed me surveillance images taken from a distance. Men in suits entering my villa, carrying briefcases. Transactions happening on my deck. One photo showed what looked like bricks of something wrapped in plastic. But here's the problem, Frank continued. You can't prove any of this without violating the restraining order. You can't access the property, can't install cameras, can't be anywhere near the place. Without direct evidence, these photos just show people at a house. So, it's useless. Not useless. Just not enough yet. Give me another week. I'll see what else I can find. I left the meeting feeling worse than before. Every solution created a new problem. That evening, I drove past my parents' house in Pasadena. Didn't stop, just drove slowly by. Their porch light was on, both cars in the driveway. Normal suburban evening. Then I saw the for sale sign in the yard. I pulled over, staring. Why were they selling? They'd lived in that house for 40 years. I called Marcus. My parents' house is for sale. I saw that. Checked the county records today. They took out a second mortgage 3 months ago. Borrowed $120,000. Why would they do that? According to the loan documents, it was for home improvements. But I'm guessing they gave the money to Paige. I did the math in my head. Original mortgage nearly paid off. Small monthly payment. But a second mortgage for $120,000? What's their new monthly payment? $2,800. They're on Social Security and Dad's pension. They can't afford that. No, they can't. They're 3 months behind already. Bank foreclosure process starts in another 3 months, if they don't catch up. So that was it. Paige hadn't just destroyed me. She was destroying our parents too. Taking everything they had, then abandoning them to financial ruin. There's more, Marcus said. Your niece, Emma. School counselor filed reports, showing signs of neglect and emotional trauma. CPS investigated but found no actionable concerns. Paige charmed them, basically. Because of the restraining order, I can't even check on Emma myself. Right. You're painted as the dangerous uncle. Paige is the protective mother. Systems working against you. That night, lying awake in my studio apartment, I thought about Emma, 7 years old, innocent in all this, living in my stolen villa with her criminal boyfriend, stepfather, and addict mother, surrounded by drug dealers and loan sharks. And I couldn't help her. My phone buzzed. Marcus calling at 11 at night. Never good. Preliminary hearing was today, he said, without preamble. Judge ruled against us. I sat up on the air mattress. What does that mean? The power of attorney was valid enough. The sale will likely be upheld. Our only chance now is proving fraud or criminal intent. Very high bar, very expensive, very unlikely to succeed. So, I lose. I'm recommending you settle. Take whatever they offer. Court dates in 10 days. If we go to trial, you'll lose everything. At least settlement gives you some control. They want me to pay them $50,000 and admit I gave them permission. I know. But trial means another $100,000 in legal fees. Plus the defamation suit. You'd be in debt for a decade. Let me think about it. You have 3 days left to respond to their settlement offer. After hanging up, I opened my laptop. Checked my bank account. $38,000. That was all I had left. 7 years of hard work, careful investing, building wealth. Gone. I opened my email. Started typing a response to Paige's settlement offer. Then deleted it. Started again. Deleted again. How do you surrender everything you've worked for? How do you admit defeat to someone who destroyed you? My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Some instinct made me answer. Mr. Crawford? This is Agent Rachel Barnes with the FBI. We need to talk about your villa, Derek Hartman, and your sister. We've been investigating them for 6 months. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I sat up straighter. What? Before she could answer, someone pounded on my apartment door. I opened it. Marcus stood there, breathless, eyes wild. Don't sign anything, he shouted. I found something. The real estate agent who processed the sale. She's willing to testify. She was pressured by Derek. She has recordings. Everything changes now. I stood between my ringing phone and my lawyer, feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Hold on. I told Agent Barnes on the phone. Come inside, I said to Marcus. Marcus entered, still catching his breath. I put the phone on speaker. Agent Barnes, my lawyer is here now. Can you repeat what you just said? Mr. Crawford, I'm with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. We've been investigating Derek Hartman and his organization for 18 months. Money laundering, loan sharking, real estate fraud. Your villa has been under surveillance since the sale went through. Marcus and I exchanged glances. What kind of surveillance? I asked. Derek and your sister are using the property as a base for criminal operations. Drug distribution, money transfers, identity theft ring. Those parties at your house? Fronts for criminal meetings? We have footage of everything. My niece is there. Emma. We know. That's part of why we haven't moved yet. We're building a case against the entire organization. Derek's boss. The loan shark operation. Your sister is complicit in multiple federal crimes. I sat down on the air mattress. What do you need from me? Keep your settlement deadline and trial date active. Maintain pressure on them. They need to feel like they're winning, so they get careless. We're planning raids for 3 days from now, day before your trial. We need your cooperation and testimony. What do I get in exchange? Full immunity for any financial cooperation you provide. Federal assistance recovering your property. Witness protection if necessary. Marcus leaned forward. And the real estate agent I mentioned? Caroline Foster, Agent Barnes said. We've been talking to her too. She has recordings of Derek threatening her to rush the sale through. She'll testify to fraud and coercion. Between her evidence and ours, your property will be restored. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. What do I need to do? We spent the next hour coordinating with Agent Barnes. By the time we finished, it was past midnight. Marcus pulled out his laptop. Let me show you what else I found. He opened files. Paige's evidence about you promising her the villa. All fabricated. Digital forensics expert examined everything. The emails and texts were created 2 months ago, backdated. We can prove forgery. She committed perjury, multiple counts, and filing false police reports for the restraining order. She's facing serious criminal charges. What about my parents? Marcus grimaced. That's complicated. They genuinely believed they had authority to sell. They might avoid criminal charges if we can prove they were manipulated. My phone buzzed. Text from Nathan Wright, my friend who'd loaned me money. Hey man, I hate to do this, but Sarah is really upset about the loan. Can you pay us back sooner than we discussed? My heart sank. $20,000 I didn't have. Friendship strained to breaking. I texted back. I'll try. Give me 2 weeks. Knew I was lying. Didn't have $200, let alone $20,000. There's something else, I told Marcus. Something I haven't mentioned, because it seemed too risky. What? 6 months before Singapore, I had a weird feeling about Paige. She kept asking about the villa, questions about the deed, my assets, made me suspicious. Okay, so I did 3 things. First, I installed hidden security cameras throughout the villa, legal in California, as property owner. Second, I transferred the villa into an irrevocable trust with my future children as beneficiaries. The property technically wasn't my asset anymore. Marcus stared at me. You did what? Third, I documented everything in a sealed letter with you. Remember? Instructions to open only if villa ownership was challenged. The envelope in my office safe, Marcus whispered. I completely forgot about it. The trust transfer happened 4 months before they attempted the sale. My parents couldn't sell what I didn't legally own anymore. The entire transaction was void from the start. Marcus stood up, started pacing. You were testing them, seeing if they'd actually try to steal from you. I didn't want to believe my own family would do this, but I protected myself just in case. The security cameras captured everything Derek and Paige discussed before the sale. We need those recordings immediately. They're cloud stored. I have access from anywhere. I opened my laptop, logged into the security system. Months of footage. I fast-forwarded through most of it, looking for the relevant conversations. Found one from 2 months before the sale. Derek and Paige in my living room, which they'd visited before I left for Singapore. Once we get the old fools to sign, the house is ours, Derek's voice said clearly. Hector's so trusting, he'll never see it coming, Paige responded. We'll flip it, take the profit, and disappear. Your parents can deal with the fallout. What about Emma? Leave her with Linda and Gerald. They'll take her. We'll be in Mexico living like royalty. Marcus watched the video, mouth open. This is conspiracy to commit fraud. Elder abuse. This destroys their entire case. I had hours more footage. Derek and Paige planning drug deals, discussing how to fake evidence against me, laughing about how stupid our parents were, planning to abandon Emma once they had the money. They were going to leave Emma, I said quietly. Just abandon a 7-year-old girl. Marcus made copies of everything. Between this, Agent Barnes's investigation, and Caroline's testimony, we have them completely. My phone rang. Linda, my mother. First time she'd called in weeks. Mom? Hector. She was crying. Your father woke up. He's recovering from the surgery. But something happened. What? Paige visited the hospital this morning. She tried to get Gerald to sign papers. Deed transfer for our house. She said it was for safekeeping while he recovers. My blood went cold. Did he sign? No. I stopped him. Hector, I read the papers. She was taking our house, our home. She would have left us with nothing. Linda was sobbing now. Full body sobs. The sound of a mother realizing she'd been completely betrayed. She showed her true colors at the worst possible time, Linda continued. Your father saw it too. Oh God, Hector, what have we done? We let her destroy you. We believed every lie. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Mom, breathe. It's going to be okay. No, it's not. We lost you, our son, because we were stupid and blind, and she manipulated us so perfectly. Gerald wants to talk to you. He wants to help testify against her. He'll do anything to make this right. Marcus looked at me, nodding vigorously. Tell Dad I'll come to the hospital tomorrow. We'll figure this out together. After hanging up, I looked at Marcus. My parents want to help now. That changes everything. With their testimony about her manipulation, the elder abuse charges become even stronger. Agent Barnes called back. Mr. Crawford, we're moving up the timeline. Tomorrow morning, dawn raid. Everyone needs to be in position. Why the rush? Intelligence suggests Derek and Paige are planning to flee the country. Flights booked to Mexico in 3 days. We can't let them leave. What about Emma? Child Protective Services will be on site. She'll be removed safely before any arrests. Marcus and I spent the rest of the night preparing. Documents organized. Testimony outlined. Evidence compiled. At 4 a.m, Marcus went home to change. I tried to sleep, but couldn't. At 5:30, my phone rang. Agent Barnes. It's time. Meet us 2 blocks from the villa. Bring everything. I grabbed my laptop and the thumb drive with all the security footage. Drove through empty Los Angeles streets as the sky began lightening in the east. 2 blocks from my villa, I pulled over. FBI vans everywhere. SWAT team members checking equipment. Agent Barnes briefed everyone. Simultaneous raids at 3 locations. The villa, Derek's warehouse, and the loan shark boss's office. Timing is critical. I sat in an unmarked van, watching monitors showing aerial footage of my villa. Sunrise painted the sky, orange and pink. Beautiful morning for justice. All teams ready, someone said over the radio. Execute. Agent Barnes ordered. 20 agents stormed my villa. Battering ram on the front door. Shouts of FBI. Search warrant. Derek tried to run out the back. Got tackled in the driveway. Paige was screaming about her rights, demanding a lawyer. Emma was led out carefully by a female agent, wrapped in a blanket. 11 people arrested total. I watched it all on the monitors, feeling years of tension drain from my body. Mr. Crawford, Agent Barnes said, your property is secure. We need your formal statement. The FBI raid netted more than anyone expected. $300,000 in cash hidden throughout my villa. Drugs, weapons, falsified documents. Derek's laptop contained detailed records of the entire criminal operation. Paige's computer had the smoking gun, draft folders with all the forged emails she planned to use against me. Timestamps proved everything had been created weeks after the dates she claimed. Derek tried to run. Paige tried to talk her way out. Neither worked. Both were held without bail. Flight risk. 1 week later, I sat in a federal courthouse conference room with Marcus, Agent Barnes, and prosecutors. Caroline Foster, the real estate agent, sat across from us. Caroline was in her 50s, professional demeanor but clearly relieved to finally tell the truth. Derek came to my office 3 months ago. Said he had a property sale lined up. Rush job. I told him standard procedures take 30 days minimum. What did he say? The prosecutor asked. He said I had 72 hours or he'd hurt my family. Showed me photos of my daughter's school. My home address. I was terrified. Did you report this to police? I wanted to. But he said his organization would know. Said they had people everywhere. So I processed the sale as quickly as possible and prayed nobody got hurt. Why didn't the title company flag the rush timeline? Marcus asked. Derek had someone on the inside there too. Everything was coordinated. The appraisal was falsified. Villa appraised at $450,000 when it's worth $1.2 million. I knew it was fraud, but I was scared for my family. Why come forward now? Caroline looked at me. Because I couldn't live with myself. Mr. Crawford lost his home because I was too afraid to do the right thing. Once I heard the FBI was investigating, I contacted Agent Barnes immediately. You recorded Derek threatening you? I asked. She nodded, pulling out her phone. I record all client meetings. Company policy for liability protection. I have 3 conversations where Derek explicitly threatens me and discusses the fake appraisal. The prosecutor played the recordings. Derek's voice, clear as day, discussing the fraud, mentioning the loan shark operation, detailing how they'd use my villa for criminal activities. This is admissible? Marcus asked. Absolutely, the prosecutor said. Single-party consent state. Caroline can legally record her own conversations. Agent Barnes opened her own files. Our surveillance captured even more. 6 months of footage. Derek, Paige, and associates conducting illegal business from the villa. Drug deals, money laundering meetings, fraud planning sessions. What about Paige's faked evidence? I asked. Digital forensics destroyed her case completely. Every email and text was created 2 months ago, backdated to look authentic. The metadata doesn't lie. She's facing multiple counts of perjury, fraud, and filing false police reports. The prosecutor looked at me. Mr. Crawford, with your testimony, your parents' testimony, Caroline's recordings, and the FBI's evidence, we have an airtight case. Derek is facing 25 years. Your sister is facing 15 years minimum. What about the villa? Emergency court order being filed today. Property restored to your trust immediately. The fraudulent sale is void. You'll have full access within 48 hours. Marcus pulled out his own files. I have something else. Sealed envelope. Hector gave me 6 months ago. He opened it in front of everyone. Inside was a letter I'd written explaining my suspicions about Paige, the trust transfer, the security cameras, dated and notarized 6 months before any of this happened. This proves premeditation on your part to protect your assets, Marcus explained. Shows you suspected fraud. Courts will view this favorably. You took legal, reasonable steps to safeguard your property. The trust transfer is the key, the prosecutor said. Your parents had power of attorney over you, not over the trust. They never had authority to sell. The entire sale was void from the start. Agent Barnes showed more surveillance footage. This one from 2 months before the sale. Paige and Derek in my villa, planning everything. We'll tell the old fools I have gambling debts, Paige said on screen. Make it sound desperate. They'll fall for it. They always do. What about Hector? Derek asked. He'll be in Singapore. Won't even know until it's done. By the time he gets back, the sale will be finalized and we'll have the money. Your parents are going to be destroyed when he fights this. Paige shrugged on the video. Not my problem. They're useful idiots. Once we have the money, we're gone. Let them deal with their heartbroken son. Watching this now, with federal agents and lawyers around me, I felt vindicated but also sad. This was my sister, someone I'd grown up with, protected, loved. They planned to abandon Emma, Agent Barnes said, showing another clip. This one showed Paige and Derek discussing their escape plan. Mexico first, then maybe Central America. Emma would be left with Linda and Gerald. No intention of being a mother anymore. Where is Emma now? I asked. Temporary foster placement. CPS is working on permanent arrangements. Your parents have petitioned for custody. Will they get it? Possibly. They're elderly and have limited income, which works against them. But they're family, and the girl knows them. Better than a stranger foster home. I'll help financially, I said. Whatever Emma needs. Therapy, education, stability. I'll provide it. The meeting continued for another 3 hours. By the end, the federal case was rock solid. Derek and Paige would plead guilty to avoid trial. The sentences were already negotiated. Prison time was certain. That evening, I visited my parents at the hospital. Gerald was recovering well, color back in his face. Linda sat beside his bed, holding his hand. "Hector," Gerald said when I entered. His voice was weak, but sincere. "I'm so sorry, son." "Dad, don't. You need to rest." "No, I need to say this. We were blind. Paige manipulated us for years. We chose her lies over your truth. We nearly destroyed you." Linda was crying again. "We lost our son because we were stupid. Can you ever forgive us?" I pulled up a chair, sat down. "I forgive you. But things have to change going forward." "Anything," Gerald said. "Whatever you need. Family therapy. All of us. We need to understand how this happened, so it never happens again." "Agreed," Linda said immediately. "No more enabling anyone. No more believing one person over another without evidence. No more blind trust." "Yes, and we take care of Emma together. She's the real victim here. 7 years old, mother going to prison, unstable childhood. She needs us." Gerald nodded. "We've already filed for custody. But Hector, we can't afford to raise her. The house, the mortgage. I'll handle the mortgage. I'll pay off the second mortgage you took out. The house stays yours, free and clear. And I'll help with Emma's expenses. But you two need to be the primary caregivers. She needs stability." "Thank you," Linda whispered. "After everything we did to you, you're my parents. I love you. Love doesn't mean I trust blindly anymore, but it means I still help family when they actually need it." We talked for another hour, rebuilding slowly, setting boundaries, planning for Emma's future. 3 days later, the federal raids made the news. Derek Hartman and associates arrested. Criminal organization dismantled. Paige Crawford charged as accomplice. My phone exploded with messages. Extended family apologizing. Cousins who'd shunned me, now wanting to talk. Colleagues from the industry checking in. Jennifer, my cousin getting married, called personally. "Hector, I'm so sorry. We all believe Paige's lies. You're invited to the wedding, obviously. Still want you in the wedding party if you'll forgive us." "I'll think about it," I said. Forgiveness took time. Nathan Wright called. "Sarah and I saw the news. Holy hell, man. You don't need to pay back the loan right away. Take your time." "Thank you. We should have believed you from the start." "It's okay." Frank Morrison, my private investigator, sent final photos. Derek being led away in handcuffs. Paige screaming at reporters. The villa secured with FBI tape. "Justice served," his text said. 2 weeks after the raid, I received the court order. Villa restored to my ownership. Fraud charges against Paige and Derek proceeding. Criminal trial scheduled. Marcus and I drove to Malibu together. FBI had cleared the property. Time to reclaim my home. Walking up the driveway felt surreal. The place looked worse than the photos suggested. Trash everywhere. Pool green with algae. Windows broken. My furniture damaged. "It'll take months to restore," Marcus said. "I don't care. It's mine again." Inside, the damage was extensive. Walls marked up, carpets stained, my belongings rifled through or stolen. But it was still my villa, my sanctuary. I stood on the deck, looking at the ocean. Sunset painting the sky orange and purple. For the first time in months, I felt peace. Marcus joined me. "What happens now?" "I rebuild. The house, my career, my relationship with my parents, all of it. Derek and Paige's sentencing is next month. I'll be there." We stood in silence, watching waves crash against the shore. My phone buzzed. Email from a former colleague. Job offer at a competitor company. Better position than I'd had before. Higher salary. Life was moving forward again. Paige and Derek's plea hearing happened on a cold morning in federal court. I sat in the gallery with my parents, Marcus beside me. The courtroom was packed with victims of Derek's organization. FBI agents, media. Derek entered first, shackled, orange jumpsuit. He looked smaller than I remembered. Prison had aged him. He wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Then Paige. She'd lost weight, hair pulled back severely. She scanned the courtroom, saw our parents, saw me. No expression, just empty. The judge was a woman in her 60s, stern demeanor. She reviewed the plea agreements without emotion. "Mr. Hartman, you've agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy, fraud, money laundering, and elder abuse. The government recommends 23 years in federal prison. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor." Derek's voice was flat. "Miss Crawford, you've agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy, fraud, perjury, and filing false police reports. The government recommends 12 years. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor." The judge looked at both of them. "Before I accept these pleas, I want to say something. The crimes you committed were not victimless. You destroyed families. You manipulated elderly parents. You endangered a child. You used the legal system as a weapon against an innocent man. This court has no sympathy for you." She accepted the pleas. Sentencing set for 3 weeks later. As they led Paige away, she looked back at our parents one more time. Linda was crying. Gerald had his arm around her. Paige's expression didn't change. No remorse. No apology. Nothing. After the hearing, we met with Agent Barnes one final time. "Congratulations, Mr. Crawford. Justice served. Thank you for everything. The Loan Shark organization is dismantled. Derek's boss is facing federal charges too. The entire network is gone. What about restitution? Seized assets will be distributed to victims. You should recover about 60% of the villa's value that was stolen. Takes time, but you'll get something. Small comfort, but better than nothing." 3 weeks later, formal sentencing. Paige got 12 years in federal prison. Derek got 23. Both would serve at least 85% before parole eligibility. Emma's custody hearing happened the same week. Linda and Gerald were awarded permanent guardianship. I was approved as legal guardian backup and financial supporter. Emma would grow up in Pasadena, in the house where I'd grown up. Safe, stable. I visited Emma at my parents' house that evening. She was playing in the backyard, same yard where I'd played as a kid. 7 years old but wise beyond her years. "Uncle Hector?" she said when she saw me. "Hey, Emma. Mom's not coming back, is she?" Kids always knew the truth, even when adults tried to hide it. "No, sweetheart. She's not." "Is it because she was bad?" I sat down on the grass next to her. "Your mom made some very bad choices. But that doesn't mean she didn't love you. Grandma says you saved us all. I just protected what was mine and made sure you were safe." Emma looked at me with those serious dark eyes. Will you still visit me even though Mom's gone? Every week. I promise. She hugged me, small arms around my neck, holding tight. Linda watched from the kitchen window, smiling through tears. The villa took 4 months to fully restore. Insurance covered most damage. I hired contractors, interior designers, made it even better than before. But I didn't move back in. Instead, I sold it. Got $1.3 million, even higher than original value. Malibu real estate had continued appreciating. Used the money to buy a smaller beach house in San Diego. More manageable, less pretentious. A home, not a status symbol. With remaining funds, I paid off my parents' mortgage completely. Gave it to them, as a gift. Their house was theirs, free and clear. No more payments. Security for their retirement. Set up a trust fund for Emma. Education, therapy, future needs. She'd never worry about money. Rebuilt my career slowly. The job offer from the competitor company turned into a senior vice president position. Better than before. More money, more respect. Industry reputation restored once people learned the truth. James Porter reached out 6 months later. Apologized for ending our partnership. Offered to work together again. I declined. Some bridges stayed burned. Nathan Wright and I rebuilt our friendship. I paid back his loan in full, with interest. Sarah invited me to dinner as an apology. Jennifer's wedding happened. I was in the wedding party. Extended family welcomed me back. Everyone had apologized. Most I'd forgiven. Some relationships would never fully heal. That was okay. 1 year after the raid, I sat on my new beach house deck at sunset. San Diego coastline stretched before me. Smaller view than Malibu. But mine, earned honestly, protected fiercely. I'd started journaling as part of therapy. Marcus had recommended it. Process everything that happened. Learn from it. Grow. I wrote, family doesn't mean unlimited access to hurt you. Trust must be earned, even from those who raised you. Sometimes the hardest thing is letting people face consequences of their choices. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or returning to how things were. Protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. The people who truly love you won't ask you to destroy yourself for them. Linda and Gerald visited that weekend, bringing Emma. Our relationship was cautious but healing. Weekly family dinners, therapy sessions together, slow rebuilding of trust. Emma ran down to the beach, collecting shells. 8 years old now, starting to smile more. Nightmares less frequent. Therapist said she was resilient. Thank you for helping us keep her, Linda said, watching Emma play. She's family, I replied. That's what family does. Real family. Gerald looked older but healthier. Heart condition managed with medication and lifestyle changes. He'd lost weight. Quit smoking, finally. You're a better man than I deserved as a son, he said quietly. We're all just trying our best, Dad. The important thing is, we learned something. What did you learn? Emma asked, running back up with a perfect sand dollar. I thought about how to explain it to an 8-year-old. I learned that real love means doing what's right, not what's easy. Sometimes what's right is setting boundaries. Sometimes it's offering grace. You have to be wise enough to know the difference. She considered this seriously. Is that why you still help Grandma and Grandpa even after they were mean? Yes, because they were tricked, and they apologized, and they're trying to do better now. That's worth forgiving. But not Mom? Harder question. Your mom hasn't apologized, and she's not trying to do better. Maybe someday, but not yet. Emma nodded, accepting this. Ran back down to the beach. We watched her play as the sun set over the Pacific. Orange and pink sky, waves rhythmic and eternal. Peace. 3 years into Paige's sentence, I received a letter. Prison stationery. Her handwriting. Dear Hector, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I destroyed your life, manipulated our parents, endangered my own daughter. I was selfish and cruel and wrong about everything. Prison has given me time to think, to see what I really was. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't expect you to respond. I just needed you to know. Your sister, Paige. I read it 3 times. Showed Marcus. Showed my therapist. Showed my parents. Do you believe her? Linda asked. I don't know. Maybe. Time will tell. Will you write back? I thought about it for a long time. Maybe someday. But not yet. Healing takes time. I'm not ready. Gerald understood. Forgiveness doesn't mean immediate reconciliation. Exactly. I kept the letter but didn't respond. Maybe in another year. Maybe never. I'd protected my peace finally. Wouldn't give it up easily. Life settled into a new normal. Good job. Nice house. Healing family. Emma growing up safe. Justice served. Boundaries established. The Villa Saga taught me more than I'd ever wanted to know about human nature, family dynamics, legal systems, and personal strength. I'd survived complete betrayal from the people closest to me, rebuilt from nothing, emerged stronger, wiser, more careful, more cautious, yes, but also more confident in my ability to protect myself, to set boundaries, to demand respect, to walk away when necessary, to forgive when appropriate, to know the difference. 5 years after everything started, Emma was 11. Smart, funny, healing. Called me every week, visited twice a month. We were close. I was the uncle who'd saved her, as she put it. Linda and Gerald were healthy, stable, present grandparents. Our relationship was good. Not perfect. Scars remained. But good. My career thrived. Bought investment properties. Saved aggressively. Built wealth again. This time with better protections, better boundaries, better awareness. Dated occasionally. Relationships were hard after experiencing that level of betrayal. Trust issues. But I was working on it. Therapy helped. Weekly sessions for 2 years. Then monthly maintenance. Processing trauma, learning patterns, building healthier relationships. The beach house became my sanctuary. Morning coffee watching sunrise. Evening wine watching sunset. Simple pleasures. Earned honestly. Protected fiercely. Paige sent another letter on Emma's 10th birthday, asking if she could write to her daughter. I consulted Emma's therapist. Emma's decision, the therapist said. But she needs to understand the risks. Emma chose not to respond yet. Maybe when I'm older. But not now. Wise beyond her years. Derek got no such consideration. No letters. No communication. He'd vanished into the federal prison system. Gone. The loan sharks who'd threatened my parents. Prosecuted as part of Derek's case. Organization dismantled. Leaders in prison. Streets safer without them. Caroline Foster, the real estate agent, sent me Christmas cards every year, thanking me for giving her the courage to tell the truth. She'd changed careers, worked for a nonprofit now, found peace. Agent Barnes retired from the FBI, sent me a bottle of good whiskey with a note. For the case that reminded me why I do this job. Justice matters. Stay strong. I kept that bottle on my shelf, unopened. Reminder of how close I'd come to losing everything. 10 years after the betrayal, I attended Emma's high school graduation. She was 18, beautiful, smart, accepted to 3 good universities. Gerald and Linda beamed with pride. Emma gave a speech as valedictorian, talked about resilience, family, second chances. Mentioned me by name, thanking the uncle who'd protected her when she couldn't protect herself. Standing ovation. I cried. Not ashamed to admit it. After graduation, Emma asked, "Have you forgiven Mom yet?" "I'm working on it," I said honestly. Forgiveness is a process, not an event. She wants to see me when she gets out. Paige would be released in 2 years. good behavior, rehabilitation programs. She'd served 10 of her 12-year sentence. "What do you want?" I asked Emma. "I don't know. She's my mom, but she abandoned me. I'm angry, but I'm also curious. Is that weird?" "Not weird at all. You're allowed to feel complicated things about complicated people. Will you be there if I decide to see her?" "Absolutely. Always." She hugged me. "You're the best uncle ever. You're the best niece ever." Gerald and Linda joined us. Family photo. 4 generations of Crawfords. Broken once, healing now. Stronger in the broken places, as the saying goes. Life continued. Good days and hard days. Progress and setbacks. But overall, life was good. Better than good. I'd survived the worst and emerged intact. The villa in Malibu that started everything became a cautionary tale I told sometimes. How I'd almost lost everything. How I'd protected myself with trust transfers and security cameras. How I'd fought back when everyone said to surrender. "Never let anyone steal what you've worked for," I told a mentee once. "Even family, especially family. Love them, help them, but protect yourself." Wise words, hard-earned. As I sit here now, 15 years after that email in Singapore, I can honestly say I'm grateful for the experience. Not the pain, not the betrayal, but the lessons, the growth, the knowledge that I could survive anything. I protected what was mine. I set boundaries. I forgave when appropriate. I held people accountable. I helped those who deserved help. I walked away from those who didn't. And most importantly, I learned that you can love your family and still protect yourself. Sometimes the most loving thing is saying no. Sometimes it's offering grace. Wisdom is knowing which moment calls for which response. The sunset from my San Diego beach house is just as beautiful as the Malibu villa ever was. Maybe more so. Because this one I earned twice. Built it, lost it, fought for it, rebuilt it. Nobody can take this from me. I've made sure of it. That's my story. That's how I survived my family trying to destroy me and came out stronger on the other side. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who were hurting you? How did you balance love and self-protection? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else going through the same struggle. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. And share this with someone who might need to hear that it's okay to protect yourself, even from family. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, you can be compassionate and still have boundaries. You can forgive and still protect yourself. You deserve relationships that build you up, not tear you down. Take care of yourselves out there. Stay strong. Set boundaries. Protect your peace. Until next time.